Amanda Batula and Wes Wilson just confirmed their relationship, and in doing so, they exposed one of the biggest betrayals in Summer House history. This isn't just about two people dating, it's about how it happened, when it started, and who got hurt in the process. Because Amanda didn't just move on, she got involved with the exact man who publicly broke her best friend Sierra Miller's heart. And the worst part, Sierra didn't hear it from them. She found out the same way everyone else did, scrolling online, watching it unfold in real time. Once you look at the timeline, it becomes very clear this didn't just happen suddenly, it had already been happening. The timeline where everything starts to fall apart. The timeline is where this entire story unravels, because unlike statements and excuses, timelines don't lie. On January 19th, Amanda and Kyle Cook publicly announced their separation. Then, on March 5th, the first sighting of Amanda and Wes together in New York surfaced. That's roughly 6 weeks between ending a marriage and being spotted with your best friend's ex. And these aren't just random sightings. Fans had already been tracking patterns for weeks. They were seen at the same restaurants, on the same nights, in the same locations. This wasn't coincidence, it was consistency, and consistency tells a very different story than "it just happened." The receipts, internet didn't miss. As soon as the news broke, the internet did what it always does. It investigated. TikTok picked up early clues, while Reddit users started building a full timeline using photos, locations, and timestamps. Fans matched backgrounds, cross-referenced posts, and noticed how often Amanda and Wes were appearing in the same places. This wasn't two people randomly running into each other. It was a pattern of repeated interaction that clearly started earlier than they admitted. The more people looked, the harder it became to ignore what was right in front of them. The denials, and why they don't work. What makes this situation worse is what was said publicly just days before everything came out. On March 24th, West appeared on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen and was directly asked about Amanda. His response was simple: "That's a friend." This happened just 1 week before they publicly confirmed their relationship. At the same time, fans were already tracking their outings across New York. That's not protecting privacy, that's actively denying something that was already happening. Amanda made a similar statement earlier on February 3rd when she said she wasn't dating anyone from the cast and wasn't going there. That statement aged badly because within weeks, she was publicly in a relationship with West. The hard launch and the damage control. Then came March 31st, when Amanda and West finally went public. The announcement came with a carefully worded caption filled with soft language and vague accountability. They claimed they never intended to hide anything and that the relationship developed unexpectedly. But what stood out wasn't what they said, it was what they didn't say. There was no mention of Kiara, no acknowledgement of the history involved, and no real accountability for the timing. The statement felt polished, controlled, and designed to calm backlash without addressing the core issue: Kyle's reaction and what it reveals. Shortly after, Kyle Cook responded publicly and made it clear he wasn't fully aware of what was going on. He said he found out over the weekend, just like everyone else, which suggests that even people close to the situation were kept in the dark. He called the situation a betrayal and accused West of being strategic, implying that this wasn't just emotional, it was calculated. That word, strategic, keeps coming up, and the more you look at the timeline, the more it starts to make sense. Ciara's response, quiet but powerful. Ciara didn't react the way people expected. There was no public meltdown, no emotional posts, no direct confrontation. Instead, she showed up to a red carpet event the very next day, kept her composure, and when asked how she was doing, she simply said, "I'm good, I've been better." Then she added 3 words that summed up the entire situation: "Everyone's morally bankrupt." That wasn't just frustration, that was a final judgment on the entire situation and the people involved in it. Why this hits so different? This situation isn't just about dating someone's ex. That happens all the time. What makes this different is the context. Amanda wasn't just anyone. She was the person who sat next to Kiara during her lowest moments, the one who comforted her after the breakup, the one who knew exactly how much that relationship meant. That level of awareness changes everything, because at that point, it's not about feelings, it's about choices, and those choices came at the cost of trust. The relationship was never casual. It's also important to understand that Ciara and West weren't just casually seeing each other, they had a real connection. They met each other's families, spent significant time together, and built something that looked serious. When West ended things, he said he wasn't ready to commit, but based on what happened next, it raises a different question. Was he not ready, or was he just not ready for her? The group splits, no more neutral ground. As expected, the fallout didn't stay contained. The cast quickly started dividing into sides. Paige DeSorbo publicly supported Ciara, making it clear where her loyalty stands. Hannah Berner added subtle but direct shade, pointing out that they would never monetize a friend's heartbreak. Lindsay Hubbard went even further, openly mocking the situation and showing support for Ciara. At this point, it's no longer a quiet disagreement, it's a visible split. West's behavior and what it says. What stands out even more is West's response, or lack of one. There was no apology, no detailed explanation, no attempt to address the situation directly. Instead, he continued posting casually, acting as if nothing significant had happened. That kind of response speaks louder than words, because when someone avoids accountability, it often means they're choosing not to face the consequences. More overlap and more questions, as if things weren't already complicated enough. Additional reports suggest that West may have been involved with someone else around the same time. If true, that adds another layer to the story and reinforces the idea that this wasn't a one-time situation. It points toward a pattern of overlapping relationships and conflicting narratives, which makes the entire situation even harder to ignore. Pattern, not coincidence. At this stage, calling this bad timing doesn't hold up anymore. There are too many overlaps, too many contradictions, and too many moments that don't align with the public story. This looks less like coincidence and more like a consistent pattern of behavior, saying one thing publicly while doing something completely different privately. And in situations like this, the people who trusted the most are usually the ones who get hurt the most. The reunion, where everything comes out now. Everything is building toward one moment, the reunion. That's where the full timeline, the unanswered questions, and the hidden details are expected to come out. Insiders are already calling it explosive, and for good reason, because this isn't just about drama anymore. It's about accountability. It's about truth versus narrative. And one thing is clear, Tiara hasn't said everything yet. The final question. So now it comes down to one simple question. Was this something that just happened unexpectedly, or was it something they knew about and chose to hide? Because the answer to that question changes everything. How people see them, how the story is remembered, and what this situation actually represents. So what's your take? Are you on Ciara's side, or do you think Amanda and West didn't cross a line? Because right now, the internet is completely divided, and this story is far from over.